What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a new YouTube video. Short recap of week 3 bench and deadlifts, and then I think we'll jump right into week 4 because I didn't really upload a video for last week. So in week 3 the top set was 155 kilos. That was 10 kilo jump from the previous week, and it moved quite well, I would say. Honestly, only the 4th rep was a bit slower, but still pretty composed and no sticking point whatsoever. And then for the back offs, we even had 145 kilos, which, mind you, was last week's back off top set, sorry. And with that, I even did, I think, a 2x4, and then I jumped on to lower weights. So yeah, bench is moving phenomenal at the moment. It feels really stable and really nice. And so do deadlifts. I think I'm getting or grasping a little bit the technique that I have to do with the wider stance, with the wider grip, and it seems to work well at the moment. At least I can up the weights pretty linearly from week to week by also 10 kilos. I believe last week's top set was at 200, so this week it was 210, and they moved pretty well. I think especially the hips, they stay down more and they don't shoot fully up, and I'm able to keep them at least somewhat neutral and not have them shooting up and almost doing just a stiff leg deadlift, and instead use more of my quads, use more of my legs to push the weight off the floor, and then just extend the hips into the bar and have them lock out. Deadlift is still a little bit funky technique wise, but my knee does not have any problems with it so far, so I'm very happy. And that also means that I can just keep on pushing deadlifts, and the only thing I have to work on or focus on is really just pushing strength. As I said before, very quick a look at week 3, and now right into week 4. As you can see, the warm-up, the last warm-up was last week's top set. So for this week's top set, we actually had 162.5, but unfortunately, you will see that from the second rep on, I got very confused because a random person came up, they wanted to help, but they didn't really read the situation well. Even though I think this dude saw all my warm-ups, he still decided to come in without really checking how fast the first rep moved, because in my opinion, if I would have been a third person in this situation and saw my first rep, I wouldn't have thought I needed help, especially since he also didn't know how many reps I wanted to do, so I didn't quite understand why he did that, but it definitely threw me off hardcore. Nothing I can do really in this situation, external factors. And then I can show you squats. I mean, this is week 4 squats. I didn't show them all the time because honestly, you see the weights are they're not even as much as I'm doing on bench. So I don't think it's worth showing too much of. But honestly, I'm just working on practicing getting back to my usual squat style, definitely hitting depth and also eliminating any kind of hip shift. Also letting my tendons and my muscles, especially around my right knee, get accustomed to more weights and very slowly increasing the weights week by week, so that my injured knee, or formerly injured knee and now hopefully soon back to 100% knee, will not complain in the future once we start loading up heavier weights. Then we move on to the secondary deadlift. I usually do the secondary deadlifts after my squats on that day. So I have pause deadlifts. Pause deadlifts really help me to try and nail down further the technique of just pushing off the bottom with my legs, using my legs to get the weight off the ground, and then just using my hip, my glutes, my posterior chain to really extend my hips into the bar and then lock out the weight. And for my back offs, I have whatever you want to call them, cluster sets, full resets, whatever. I'm just like fully resetting, reapproaching the bar, going through every step of my setup, reiterating and making it a habit the way I set up, so that it becomes an automatic flow during, for example, comp. If I want to do a comp down the line, it's important to have this setup nailed down and really be sure of what I'm doing and approach the bar the same way for every rep. Then I had to travel for work, but luckily I found a super cool gym in Zurich. It was called Club der Sportfreunde. I just had to do week 4, day 5 in this gym. So I was lucky in a sense that I was able to do all the other lifts in my usual training environment. And for this one, I had to do it on the road, but I didn't want to pull this training forward because for deadlifts and for especially this SBD type day, I want to be rather fit. So the first thing I do is usually my leg presses and my Bulgarian split squats, because remember I do not squat at the moment, at least 2 times a week, because my knee is still healing and it's not 100% yet. So we're keeping it light and just trying to work the quads and work the muscles around it. And then we move on to 3 count paused bench, which is my tertiary bench. There I had a top set of 4, and somehow whenever I bench on comprex, I get the same issue every time, and that is that my left arm hits the rack, or I hit the rack with the weights every time, and that is, I think, also because I'm lying probably very much crooked. This is not a problem per se, but it definitely goes to show that I probably have some asymmetries, at least when lying on the bench, therefore also when pressing, that I should at least be aware of, because the last thing you want in comp is, for example, to hit the rack, and therefore it makes sense to slide down the bench a bit more like I did on my backoffs. And then finally I hit my top set on deadlifts. I do not know why I jumped to 230, but I jumped to 230 on that day, which was not a wise decision, because even though I didn't want to give up, but I did not get the 3rd rep up whatsoever, and it was just like my entire body was not only empty, but also my legs especially, they just had no push off the ground, and you see it pretty well on the 1st rep. My hips just shoot up. It's exactly that what I said I was proud of last week. I was not able to accomplish, and that is probably also because I took way too much of a jump. I jumped 20 kilos from the previous week, not counting in fatigue, not counting in travel space, not counting in improper nutrition, and also not counting in my unusual training time. This was super late in the evening. Yeah, so deadlifts did not go well, or as planned at least, and that is also honestly my own fault. And even the backoffs, they were quite heavy, and I was all over the place technique-wise, but still I'm pretty happy with how the training went overall. Week 4 was definitely a success, I would say. I did not have any pains on that lifts, which is a good thing. I did also not have any more issues with my knee, so that is positive. A negative would be for next block, definitely stay in the pocket more, don't do stupid jumps, and try and leave the ego at home, because at the moment strength is building up like crazy, and there's no need to overreach. I can just stay in a pocket and still gain tons of strength. That being said, guys, really appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great day. Wish you all the love, all the power. Have a good one.